Well, here we are again. Bridgerton Season 4 has come and gone, and honestly, I don't know what I expected. I mean, okay, I know what I expected. I got what I expected. This ain't my first rodeo, okay? No show on Netflix can go more than 3 seasons without turning into just absolute garbage. Well, okay, that's not entirely true, but Season 4 of Bridgerton is like one of the best examples, I think, of a show just going through the motions I think I've ever seen since maybe like Riverdale. Like on the surface, it seems fine. The same show you've been watching for like 6 years now. The dresses, the oversaturation, the cravats, the queen's wigs. But after really giving Season 4 a solid try, like the show's just kind of going on autopilot right now, you know what I mean? This season felt like the semi-annual bedroom rendezvous after like 30 years of marriage, you know? Oh yes, how delightful. Oh, more of that, you ruffian. All right, hold on, stop for a second. I gotta go get some Tums real quick. But since I did a video about the first 4 episodes, now that the entire season's out, let's discuss where the characters end up. So come along, kids, it's Bridger time. So since Penelope had her own entire season last time, she's largely off to the side this season. Like everyone knows that she's Lady Whistledown, and so, like I said in my last video, things for her kind of take a weird turn where like gathering gossip is kind of like different now.
Go and make it known that there is a diamond here tonight.
Mrs. Bridgerton, Miss Rosamond Lee, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. Wonderful to meet you all. Hello.
Now, in my last video, I talked about how it's kind of weird that everyone knows who she is because it doesn't really work with how she was able to gather so much gossip for the first 3 seasons, you know, since like she used to be a wallflower and all that, but now she's like the main character of the whole town.
Lady Bridgerton is here to see you, Ma'am.
What a delight.
Penelope, what do you know about my son's search for a wife?
Forgive me, but Lady Whistledown cannot reveal her...
Penelope Bridgerton!
Yes, Mum.
Now, Netflix obviously watched my video and they totally rewrote the entire show to be based on what I said, obviously, because one day she writes about someone's mistress and everyone kind of figures out who it is, which is bad, even though every dude in town has a mistress, but if they find out who it is, then that's bad.
Everyone knows I'm the mistress to whom you referred. The moth drawn to the flame.
I only wrote what I wrote because word had already spread. I hope to warn you, Mr. Hiscox.
And what about me? Did you not think of me? Everyone may have been speculating, but Whistledown made it real.
You know, it's that classic conundrum when guys are like, man, I sure wish a girl would put out. And then a girl's like, okay, I'll put out. And then the guy's like, what? Ew, I'm gonna tell everyone now because you did what I asked you to. But all the same, that's the moment when Penelope realizes that actually it might be bad to gossip, girl. She comes to realize that playing with people's lives was fun when she was ostracized from society, and it was like her way of getting back at all the people who laughed at her for being alternatively sized. And so she realizes that it's probably time to stop with the whole Lady Whistledown thing.
For so long, Whistledown has brought me joy. And like you, I will always believe in the power of gossip. But since I have become known publicly, there's been a change. The power I hold over the ton, it is too great.
Now, there's some back and forth with the queen where she's like, no, I like gossip. And then Penelope's like, gossip is a prison, just like you being a queen. And then the queen's like, Cor blimey, what the heck is this on my head? Finally allows her to stop writing her gossip column.
I look forward to seeing what you will write next, Mrs. Bridgerton. And you will bring me any gossip you might hear from time to time?
Of course, Your Majesty.
And so, just like that, Lady Whistledown is no more. Also, Colin's there the whole time, but as per usual, he is unremarkable in every way. Now, speaking of the Queen. Oh my goodness, what is happening? What are we doing? How do you even... What are we doing? Now, one big development that I didn't really mention much in the last video is with Violet Bridgerton. So with all the kids growing up, getting older, getting married, getting smashed, Violet finds herself being needed less and less and having more and more free time. Enter into the scene Lady Danbury's brother, Marcus.
I'm Zeus. Are you a hero?
I most certainly am not. I am Zeus. Perhaps the Greek gods would still be in charge up there if Zeus had been a woman.
So in season 4, they've been kind of sort of secretly courting. You know, they're both widowed and unmarried, and yet they sure seem to spend a lot of time together alone. Making paper snowflakes, I assume. But eventually, Violet just can't wait any longer and decides to invite Marcus over for some late night tea.
Mrs. Wilson told me you were serving tea somewhere new. This is new.
It is.
Am I to understand that this means...
I am the tea that you are having.
And so they do the Devil's Tango. And things are starting to get really serious, okay? Marcus even drops the L word, all right?
I would never wish to usurp your affection for your family.
Would be rather a relief not to have to sneak around anymore.
I love that about you. I love you, in fact.
And so now Violet's all out of sorts. I mean, what's a hot MILF to do? You know, slight tangent here, but like this show has a lot of dude butt in it, because like of course it does, right? But season 4 has the most hilariously placed, like crazy zoomed in dude butts you've ever seen. Like when they show them, they literally take up half the screen. It's the craziest thing. Anyway, so yeah, Violet and Marcus are now kind of a thing.
If you would have me, I would very much like to marry you.
Yes, I will.
By far the least conventionally interesting character we have, although that's kind of on purpose, I guess. Like, while the show never explicitly states anything either way, it's pretty clear that she's supposed to be some kind of neurodivergent.
Without going into details, do you experience the
Monster Jam 2012. As in, like, she doesn't quite vibe with the social rules and she hates loud noises and big crowds. She doesn't want to talk about her feelings. She has more Funko Pops than you could imagine. She knows every train just by smell. And so last season, she found John, who was also kind of like her, I guess. They get married, and Francesca very seriously takes on her new role as baby launcher. However, it's not going that well.
In fact, we hardly ever use the West sitting room anymore. So if you wanted to take some paintings from there for your entrance hall, then I'm sure Mrs. Wilson could help.
Mother, what is the pinnacle?
Psh, heck if I know. Although one time I sat down kind of funny on a bicycle seat, and I've been thinking about that day for years. Now this is a bummer for her in general, but you know, it's whatever. John's cousin comes to visit, who, as we saw last season, is gay, and perchance might be interested in Francesca. And the two end up becoming friends, despite seeming to be polar opposites. I know, I can hardly believe it myself.
I have never seen him laugh the way he does when he is with you. Which is why, if I am honest, I'm a little envious of your chaos. Perhaps I can be open to it.
However, one day, John has a headache, goes up to bed, and then never wakes up again. This, as you can imagine, is kind of a bummer. So they have a funeral and everyone's there except Daphne, as usual. Remember when Daphne's whole thing was about how important family is to her, and then she never shows up to anything ever again? But now for Francesca, it's not even just about losing her husband, one of the only people who ever really understood her, but also, she never got pregnant, never produced an heir, and so the Kilmartin line has ended, the estate's gonna be up for grabs. She feels like she's failed in every way.
And what did I give John? Nothing! John wanted to have a child, and it was my duty to give that to him, to continue the Kilmartin line, and I failed him. I gave him nothing. I have nothing. I have
Is it all right?
And so this brings us to the main event of the season. Now, as we saw last time, Benedict fell in love with the girl in the silver dress and he's been looking for her. And like, I know this world is race blind or whatever, but like, come on, guys. What are we doing? Is he race blind or is he just kind of an idiot? And so then he meets Sophie and they kind of sort of get a little hammer, you know what I'm saying? And he gets her a job working at the Bridgerton house and then asks her to be his situationship.
And I'm determined to give it to you. And more. Sophie. Be my mistress.
How romantic. And she's like, ill, and runs away. This brings us to the second half of the season.
Dearest gentle reader, of all the sweet nothings a man can whisper in a woman's ear, this author believes the 3 most common words in Mayfair may be
Monster Jam 2012. So most of the rest of the season is Benedict trying to find Sophie, who's avoiding him, to get an answer from her about the whole, like, hey, you want to smash on the DL, bro, kind of thing. And she wants to avoid him because he's weird. But you know, there's a bunch of back and forth, as always.
Would you have found it suitable to kiss the lady that you met at that ball? Or would you have been a gentleman and refused to ruin her? You are asking me to relinquish my virtue, my dignity, my self-respect, all to be reduced to a glorified courtesan who will never be able to marry.
So just to summarize very broadly here, the main issue is that if Benedict did make her his mistress, then she would kind of be forever ostracized by society because she's like damaged goods or whatever. But if he were to marry her, then he would have to leave the noble peerage society himself because that's how this world works, I guess.
Have you thought about how she'll feel when you eventually marry? I do not need to marry! What about when you decide you want a family? And you cannot do that with her. Can I not? No. I should cut you off. Disown you. Protect the family.
And so Benedict doesn't know what to do, because I mean, he likes Sophie, and he kind of gave up on the girl in silver dress, because I mean, have you seen Sophie in her maid outfit?
You are asking me to relinquish my virtue, my dignity, my self-respect, all to be reduced to a glorified courtesan who will never be able to marry. I may not be as high as a lady, but I refuse to be that low.
Oh yeah, well what about my feelings? I finally just finished my bucket list and no one even cares. Also, like, you know, if this family came to Bridgerton town, there'd be dudes lined up around the block for miles. Hajime Mashite. I always loved Dragon Ball Z. You wanna get boba later? Totemo opai suki desu. But yeah, so if Benedict does marry her, then he loses basically everything. But if she's his mistress, then she loses all of her social dignity. But then Benedict's like, but mommy, I love her. And then Violet's like, okay, fine, you little slugger.
Excuse me, Mother.
Where are you going?
There is something I have to take care of at Bridgerton House.
But I could not wait.
I've waited long enough already.
Wait. I have left something for you in your desk. It was my grandmother's.
Oh boy, what could it be? Great Nana's machete? You guys! And this brings us to the final episode. So just to wrap things up here, almost every single one of these storylines that I mentioned ends in like the stupidest way. Just one slap in the face after another. Penelope retires Lady Whistledown, and then 7 minutes later, guess what happens?
It is assuredly a reunion rooted in care and love.
And who in the devil wrote this?
Though this time with a very different author.
Francesca and John's cousins are becoming friends, but then she runs away.
Have you seen Miss Sterling tonight? Has she gone to bed already?
Did Miss Sterling not inform you?
Of what?
She's packed her belongings and left.
Violet decides to break up with Marcus, because now that she's discovered her inner cougar or whatever, she's ready to walk the grounds a little bit more, you know what I'm saying?
I'm only just starting to get reacquainted with that part of myself, my carefree, wild self, and I am afraid that if we are to wed, then I would lose that opportunity.
And of course, the big finale of Benedict and Sophie. So it seems like Benedict is going to give up his place in society to be with her, but then she finally decides to read her father's will on her own after all these years, which she could have done at any point that she lived in that house, but sure, let's do it now.
I saw my father's will. Posey, Rosamond, myself. He left us each an equal portion dowry.
What? No way. And so using the dowry that her dad left her, they're able to kinda sorta fudge her identity a little bit to make everyone think that she's a lady of mobility. I wrote that wrong. A lady of nobility, and Benedict is able to marry her no problem. So as I was saying at the beginning of this video, this season just gets so lazy and stupid. Like every possible opportunity they had to do something really bold, different, interesting, they just squandered all of it. And like the running theme through the whole season has been about change is inevitable and things can't just stay the same forever. Lady Danbury wants to leave. Penelope wants to stop writing gossip.
It is time. I long to travel, to visit my ancestral home. I would like to leave.
There is a comfort in knowing that we are all human and also all capable of great change.
Even like the entire character of Benedict himself, you know, like since season 1, his whole shtick is that like he thinks that all this is stupid and pointless and he doesn't get it, he doesn't fit in, you know? He wants to be all artsy and bohemian and bisexual. Also, remember how tame the Queen's wigs used to be? As the show's plot gets shallower and shallower, they're just really trying to razzle-dazzle us with the Queen's wigs getting more insane every season. Quick, put a birdcage in her hair. They won't notice how dumb the show is now. So this season was really playing off the idea of like, he might have to be cut off from society and his family to live the life he truly wants. And that's exactly what Benedict would do. So like, I'm watching the season, I'm like, okay, I see where it's going. Wow, this is gonna shake things up. What a bold, purposeful choice they're making for these characters. But then it just posed the same ending of like every 2000s Barbie movie, you know, where it's like, ha, psych. Actually, she's been a super cool magic princess the whole time. And it doesn't even matter that your lipstick doesn't match your skin tone. That's how special you are.
Miss Gunn, may I have your first dance?
You may, Mr. Bridgerton.
You know, it's one of those conclusions where like everything Sophie did up to now through the season basically means nothing because she was actually kind of nobility the whole time. So she just had to wait until they figured that out and then problem solved. This is what I meant when I said like the show was really just going through the motions because like it seems clear to me at least that they have no faith in the audience. They have no integrity with their own characters and their own story. Everything gets reset. Violet has no boyfriend. Benedict doesn't have to make any hard decision, even though that's what his whole character's been leading up to for like 3.5 seasons now. And you know, of course, right at the very end, Benedict finds out that Sophie was indeed the girl in the silver dress. which by this point kind of feels like superfluous because he's already in love with her, is willing to throw everything away to be with her, so by the time he figures this out, it's kind of like big whoop. In fact, it actually kind of undermines his entire emotional journey this season because he was so obsessed with the silver dress girl, and in his mind, Sophie the maid is so gosh darn amazing that he gives up his obsession. But then turns out they're the same person, so all of this emotional back and forth he did was kind of for nothing. It's like when you're dating someone and then you break up and you cry every day for a week and then they just take you back anyway like nothing happened. Like, so what was all that for then?
You would have made a wonderful diamond. But carry on.
You do enjoy being amused.
Uh-oh. Oh, geez. There's a gas leak. Someone come fix this, quick. Like season 2 with Anthony and Kate, they spent the whole season being like, I can't stand you. I hate you. You make me so angry. JK, I need you. Like, so bad. OMG. You know, the yearning, the finger touching, the long eye contact, all that kind of garbage you people like. But they really dug into it, and that made the payoff so much better. But with Benedict and Sophie, it's like they just kind of randomly fall in love. Like, personally, I didn't really feel a whole lot of chemistry between them most of the time. Like I said, it's just going through the motions. Like, this show is now no better than Riverdale or like Emily in Paris. I mean, okay, it's always been cheesy, but now I think it's beyond that. It's just like this kind of lifeless, pointless husk because apparently nothing really means anything. Benedict spent 3.5 seasons exploring his thoughts and feelings and how he doesn't fit in and doesn't care about society. And when it really counts, he's actually totally cool with conforming to expectations. Even though it would have totally made sense for he and Sophie to like run away together and be free, you know, especially since Sophie is not actually nobility anyway. So instead of Sophie being the push he needs to finally leave this society behind, he instead decides to make her part of this society that he hates so much. What? And then Penelope gives up being Lady Whistledown just for someone else to pick it up anyway, so the show can continue exactly how it always has, even though this season has been punching us in the face with this idea of like change is coming, nothing can stay the same, except almost everything does stay the same, so what was the point?